Well, good morning, everybody. Do you notice at the beginning of worship, every Sunday, as we're starting the service, two people usually walk in, and what do?
Light the candle.
They light the candle. Do you know why we light the candle every Sunday when we come?
To worship Jesus.
Well, it's kind of to worship Jesus. It's to help us remember that Jesus is here with us. So when our acolytes, like this morning it was Charlotte and Josie, they came in and they lit the candles up front. They came in with those lights to help us remind us that the light of Christ is always with us, right? Because where does Jesus live? He lives in our hearts, right? So really, Jesus is with us all the time. But when we're in worship, we really want to remember that God is right here with us. Can you hold this very carefully for me this morning while I talk for a little bit? Now, that stays in here while we worship, right? Just like Jesus stays in our heart all the time. But sometimes things get in the way of helping us remember that. This thing right here, this is really good at being a distraction about helping me remember that God is with me. Do you know why? Any got any ideas? There's lots of things on here that are distractions to me. There are games, there's Facebook, there's email, but you know what is the worst one for me? It is this little one right here. Looks like this. What does this look like? The weather. This one is so distracting to me. It's really cool because I can get up in the morning and go, well, I don't even have to look outside. I can say, what's the weather like? And it tells me. And then it can tell me what the weather's going to be like for the next 10 days. Now, that's kind of cool, right? But here's what happens. I'm going to take this and I'm going to use this to help me teach it. I look at the weather and I go, oh, yuck, it's supposed to be cold today. And then I worry about what I'm going to wear. Am I going to be warm enough? Should I bring an extra pair of shoes with me? Because maybe I'll need something warmer when I leave later. So I start worrying. And then I look and I go, oh, not is it only supposed to rain, but maybe there's thunderstorms and oh, I am really afraid of the thunder and the lightning. And then I start worrying because my dog is really afraid of the thunder and lightning. And what happens if I'm not home and it starts? How's the dog going to act? So I start worrying about it. And then guess what happens? Then I see in the forecast that not only is it going to rain, but guess what this week it says it's going to be rain and chance of snow, frozen mix. And then I think, oh my gosh, what happens if later this week it's so cold that the water on the ground freezes and the roads get slick? And what happens? And I worry, and I worry, and I worry, and guess what? It starts, I'm going to try real careful here. It starts, do you see how it's starting to bubble up like that? You see it bubbling up? Can some of you see that? And the more I worry, the worse it gets. It kind of takes over everything that I'm thinking. And all the other things that I'm supposed to be doing, guess what? This is not working really well. We got to have Jesus stay lit in my heart, right? Now we'll see if I waited too long. All that worry that I put in here, when it got into my heart, guess what happened? It kind of snuffed out the light that Jesus shines, right? When we start worrying, it kind of takes over everything in our life. And all we focus on is the worry. And guess what? Then people can't see Jesus shining through us anymore. Because that worry is all that they see because it's affecting everything that we do. So the Bible tells us not to worry, but that's such a hard thing to do, right? But you know what, girls? You guys that were singing this morning, you gave perfect examples of what we can do when we are worried so that it doesn't snuff out Jesus' light and we can still go out and shine his light in the world. One, we can sing wherever we go. Because when you're singing, are you sad? No. When I sing, it makes me joyful. I know when Miss Kimberly sings, it makes her really joyful. And when I sing, it may not make other people around me joyful, but it makes me really joyful. Okay? It's hard to be worried and to be sad and to be grumpy when we are singing. The other thing is you can remember that God is always listening. You sang about that too, right? God is always listening. So when you start getting worried, when that worry starts overtaking everything in your life, you just need to think about that God is listening to you and you can talk to him about it. You can take it to him. You can pray and you can take it to him, and he will help make that worry maybe not go away, but not feel so strong, right? And not take over your whole world, okay? So those are two things that you can do to help control the worry when it starts to take over, because we always want to make sure that we let Jesus' light shine through us. We don't want to let worry snuff it out, right? So I want you to remember that when things start getting kind of crazy and you start getting kind of worried, because that's what happens, right? And people start talking about it. Oh my gosh, not only do I look at this app, but then people start talking to me. Did you see that the weather's going to do that this week? Did you see what the weather's going to do? And then the worry just keeps building and building. And so we remember in those times that we can go to God, we can sing to God, we can pray to God, and we can share even our worries with other people. And that'll help it feel lighter and help us feel so much better. Do you think you can remember that? All right, before we go back to Sunday school, where we're going to talk a little bit more about some people in the Bible who did a lot of worrying. Before we go back there, let's say a prayer together, okay? Good morning, God. We are so thankful that we can always come to you and know that you will listen, sharing not only our joys, but our worries too. We know that you put others in our lives to help us, just as you help us, to love us, and to make life just a little bit easier. We know that when we walk with you, we walk in love. Help us share your love and your light with others. In Jesus' precious name, amen. All right, friends, thank you so much. Let's head on back to Sunday school.